Not another sleep in. Luckily, I'm actually awake. A bit later, 15 minutes later than expected, but hopefully we can get some clarity on the game week 20 deadline. It's actually only, let's have a quick look, 1 hour and 12 minutes until the deadline. So still some time to make the last decisions. So I already did my transfer this game week. We'll probably roll the other one. I have sold Raul Jimenez to bring in Jared Bowen. He's currently still my captain. I will put up another captain poll. Give me a minute. There we go. Captain poll is up. Hey man, thanks for joining in. Sorry about the 15 minutes delay. Oh, Lightning, Captain Saka or Erling Haaland. So in the poll, I actually have both Saka and Erling Haaland as options. I think if it's between Saka and Erling Haaland, it would probably be Haaland for me, to be honest, because of the safety. So usually I'm kind of good at picking the right captain, but to be honest, I showed this on my stream yesterday as well. For the last 7 game weeks, I have been really unlucky with the captaincy. So my wise captain has almost, for every game week, outscored my captain. Hopefully I will get it right this game week. At the moment, I'm leaning towards chasing the fixture and going Jared Bowen ahead of Erling Haaland. So Jared Bowen is my captain with Haaland as my wise captain. If I had to decide between Saka and Haaland, it would probably be a bit easier. I would think I would give the armband to Haaland with Saka as my wise captain. Bournemouth have looked shaky recently. Yeah. There are a couple of teams that did well in the first part of the season that hasn't really delivered recently. Bournemouth definitely one of them. I think Crystal Palace is another team that, even though this fixture in the fixture difficulty rating is usually a grey fixture, I think that playing against Crystal Palace is a solid fixture in this period. Shafranam, will Rice play? So we haven't had any concrete news about Rice, so hopefully he will play. It's something about his knee, so I think that if Rice misses out in game week 20, he will most probably be back for game week 21. But of course, if he's not in the squad for game week 20, there will be a small doubt ahead of game week 21 as well. There's something about the swollen knee. Got a kick to the knee in game week 19, so, or ahead of game week 19. Your bench is looking solid. Wish I had even Thunderberg right now. I have a strong bench. I could actually consider playing the bench boost, but I will probably wait for a better opportunity. But Sanchez against Man City, of course, playing at the Etihad, not the best fixture. I have Dorgu. He is a decent option for game week 20, considering the injuries in the United defense. Elliot Anderson against Aston Villa. Of course, Aston Villa, they have been really solid recently, so this is probably not the best fixture for Elliot Anderson, but as mentioned in the chats, Rice is a big doubt ahead of this game week, so at least I have solid options on my bench. So if you have Rice and no cover on your bench, I think I would probably use a transfer to either strengthen my bench or get in some players with high expected minutes this game week. I have Vandenberg as well away against Everton, but I like Dorgu and Anderson even better. Let's see. Raya, Gabriel, Guehi, Dorgu, O'Reilly, Phil Foden, Cunha, Bruno Guimaraes, Thiago, Voltmada, and Haaland up front. Dubravka, Wilson, Vandenberg, flagged Rice. Thoughts on the changes? I brought Gabriel for Van Dijk. So you're not alone in bringing in Gabriel. I know that it's a really tempting move and it makes sense. So bringing in Gabriel ahead of game week 20 is a solid option. Rice is actually the most sold player, close to 600k transfers out. Gabriel, close to 1 million transfers in at this point. So solid transfer from Shafrahan. Let's see. On the bench, Dubravka, Harry Wilson, Vandenberg. I think you probably could save a transfer there. I know that O'Reilly is a small doubt. He got subbed off early in game week 19, actually in the 57th minute. So there are some rumors that O'Reilly has picked up a small injury, so he might potentially miss out, especially seeing that there's a quick turnaround between game week 19 and game week 20. So O'Reilly, he might actually be a doubt, but seeing that you have Harry Wilson and Vandenberg on the bench, I think this probably is good enough. So I talked about this yesterday as well. It's a bit special these days because of the quick turnaround between game weeks. We haven't really had a proper press conference from all managers, so we don't have that much information as we usually have ahead of a deadline. So I think saving a transfer is a really good idea at this point. The thing is that there will be a really quick turnaround between game week 20 and game week 21 as well, as the next deadline is actually on Tuesday. My captain is Welbeck. Welbeck, the last I've heard is that he probably is benched this game week, but at least he's not in a predicted starting 11 for Brighton this game week. From what I recall, I think the predicted starting 11 for Welbeck, predicted starting 11 for Brighton has Rutter up front, but of course it's only predictions, but some of the Brighton fans think that Welbeck will be benched this game week. So Frederick Fitness, my captain is Welbeck. Be cautious, have a quick search, see if there are any news about Brighton and their starting 11. He's actually... So I had a look at the bookies' predictions ahead of game week 20. As you can see on the right-hand side, he's actually one of the bookies' favorites for anytime goal scorers. So Welbeck, I don't think it's the worst idea. The bookies, they are usually right. So the top player for anytime goal scorer, Erling Haaland, as usual, 58. Foltmade 42% and Welbeck the same, 42% for the good fixture at home against Burnley. So Welbeck, decent punt, but he might actually not start in game week 20. And this is probably why Welbeck and his ownership is quite low, because of the fact that he is injury prone and can potentially see some rotation. Guiu and Rodon won't play, so if they're both injured, I'm down to 10 men. Unsure whether to take a -4. How was your Christmas and New Year? My Christmas and New Year has been really, really great. I had time off from work since the 19th of December, so that's really nice. Hopefully everyone else had a nice Christmas and New Year. I know everyone's not actually celebrating Christmas, but hopefully you had a nice time. So let's see. I remember you posting your team yesterday as well. Oh, Lightning. Let's have a look. Let's see. Rodon will not play. Markovi, we know that he is a small. He has a small chance of playing, and if he plays, it will probably be a 1-pointer from Guiu. So solid fodder considering the price, but not a really reliable player to trust on the bench. So on the screen, we have O Lightning's team. Garner is in for Tavernier, so it's possible, of course, to bench Anderson, play Garner. I think Lewis Hall will play, as mentioned yesterday. I sold Tavernier for Garner. I now have Keane and Hall starting with Anderson on the bench to cover one of them. I think it's probably good enough, but as you say, if both Lewis Hall and Michael Keane misses out, you will be down to 10 men. So a bit frustrating. You can potentially get 1 point from Guiu, but if you could make some starting 11 changes, what would you do? I have no free transfers. Let's have a quick look at that team again. Dorgy, O'Reilly. So it's back for Foden, Cunha, Bruno, Jim Rash in midfield, Thiago, Foltmade, Haaland up top, Wilson. I think Shafranam, I think I would just go for the team that you have at the moment. You have a solid bench, Wilson, Vandenberg, and a flagged Rice. I would actually be tempted to start Rice just in case he's fine for game week 20. So I would probably have Dorgu on my bench, first on my bench, and start Rice. At least that's what I'm doing with my own team. So I think Rice is a really good FPL asset at the moment. So of course, if he's injured, he's not that's good, but we're not really sure if Rice will play or not this game week. I think that Rice is this kind of player that if he's fit, he will probably start. And if Rice is not fit enough, he will probably get a full rest. So, wow, Jared Bowen captain over Haaland feels risky. You're not worried Rice gets brought on late in the game for a 1-pointer. Of course, there is a possibility that Rice plays like 20-30 minutes. But it's not like the other options on my bench are that much better. So I'm hoping that Rice will start. And if he don't start, he will hopefully get a full rest. Yes, we agreed on doing Tavernier to Garner with my 1 free transfer. I think Rice will either start or not play at all. I agree with the Lightning on that one. Cheers, mates. No worries. Let's see. It's actually only 57 minutes left. 57 minutes left until the game week 20 deadline. So in the captain poll, Erling Haaland is the favorite, 67%. Jared Bowen 11, Saka 11 as well. So if you're captaining someone else than Erling Haaland, Jared Bowen, or Bukayo Saka, let me know in the chat. Should I start Gravenberch or Thiago? Probably Thiago, considering that he is on penalties. I think Gravenberch is a really good footballer, but not the best FPL asset. Of course, he will occasionally get attacking returns. He can pick up defensive contributions, but Igor Thiago, even though the fixture is not the best, of course, playing away against Everton, but I think that Thiago probably should start. Should I start Louis Miley or Anderson? I feel as if Anderson has clean sheet potential and Defcon likely, considering it's Liverpool. Just want your thoughts. Usually I would agree. I think that Anderson is a better option compared to Lewis Miley. So Miley is a midfielder playing in defense at the moment, but solid player, of course. But considering the fixture, Fulham, really tough game for them in game week 20. I think that Crystal Palace, they have looked a bit tired recently. They have had so many games this month, or in December. I think I probably will start Lewis Miley this game week, considering that there is such short turnaround between the game week. So I think the picture for Newcastle this game week is actually a solid fixture for them. So all the polls I've seen on X and YouTube have Haaland at like 80%, Saka only 6%. So in this one, it's actually 60 for Erling Haaland, Saka 10. So pretty close. Bench 1, Tarkowski, Collins, Thiago, Hincapi, Everton play Brentford. Thanks. I would be tempted to play Tarkowski, especially if you don't have Igor Thiago. Oh, Thiago is in there as well. I'm sorry. I would not be tempted to play both of them, Tarkowski against Thiago. I would probably start Hincapi, considering that Calafiori is still a doubt. So with those players, I would probably take a punt on Brentford scoring and benching Tarkowski, to be honest. So Collins, Thiago, and Hincapi for this game week. Anderson could pop up with a goal. Who knows? Should have scored last game week. I was fuming. I remember this. It was really late in the game. Was it the last thing that happened in Fulham's game in game week 19? I think he probably was a bit annoyed after that one himself. Should have scored, so the ball just landed on. It was really close to goal as well. It was like, I don't know what happened. like he lost control of his body. It was like falling backwards while kicking the ball, and it went sky high above the goal. Bit frustrating, of course, for Anderson owners. But to be honest, as a non-owner, it was kind of good to see that he did not get an attacking return in game week 19. So the first game of the day is Aston Villa against Nottingham Forest. We have Brighton, Burnley, Wolves, West Ham, and Bournemouth, Arsenal. So 4 games today and 6 games tomorrow. So biggest day for FPL is actually tomorrow. Start 2 and bench 3. Goodmanson, O'Reilly, Van Dijk, Lefebvre, and Wilson. Or use my bench boost. So I actually like using the bench boost. I have actually considered playing my bench boost as well with the team that's currently on the screen. Sanchez, Dorgu, Anderson, Vandenberg. The thing is that Sanchez, not the best fixture. Dorgu is solid, but Elliot Anderson playing away against Aston Villa is a tough game for them as well. So I will probably just save my bench boost. But start 2, Goodmanson. I think I probably would start Van Dijk and it's a bit tough. I would like to say Van Dijk and Harry Wilson, but seeing that they play against each other, it's probably not the best. I think I would start O'Reilly and Van Dijk with Wilson first on the bench, to be honest. Goodmanson, of course, he did well in game week 19, but I'm not really expecting Leeds to keep a clean sheet against Man United. I know Man United haven't really impressed us, especially Kuna owners, a bit frustrated after the last 2 game weeks, but I think it's fine having a 3.8 on the bench. I can't believe Guehi is like 40% owned, even higher effective ownership. I actually made a post about this on X when Crystal Palace played. I had a look at live FPL, and if Crystal Palace kept a clean sheet, it would really hurt my rank last game week. So really high ownership. Of course, Richard C is out. When he's back, the Crystal Palace defense will be even higher owned. So do you think I should take a -4? Just hope at least one. Sorry. Do you think I should take a -4 or just hope at least one of Hall, Keane plays and have Anderson in case? I think with your team, I think I would try to avoid the -4 this game week. Will be a good start heading into game week 20 without taking a hit. We don't have that much information, so hopefully there will be some proper press conferences ahead of game week 21. So I think I would try to avoid the hits and hope that. I think at least that Lewis Hall will play. I'm terribly sorry if this, of course, if he doesn't play, but I think Lewis Hall will be fine. He was able to finish the game right, and it's like I feel that you want to take the -4. So of course, if you have a feeling that you really need a -4 this game week, you should definitely just do it. But if you want my opinion, I think I would try to avoid the -4 this game week. Munoz yet to come back to, yeah, definitely. I forgot about Munoz. He had a really high ownership before his injury as well. The thing with Munoz is that he has been out for a while, so his ownership has, of course, reduced a lot. They have a nice run from, I think, game week 22. I'll be getting him straight back in. Let's have a quick look at pictures. Game week 22. From game week 22, Crystal Palace, they play Sunderland away, Chelsea at home, Nottingham Forest away, Brighton away, then Burnley and Wolves at home in game week 26 and game week 27. So two of the best fixtures for Crystal Palace in game week 26 and game week 27. So as O Lightning mentions in the chat, Crystal Palace, they have solid fixtures from game week 22. Let's see if Munoz is back fit. I think I probably should consider bringing in a Crystal Palace defender from game week 22, to be honest. Yeah, I agree. I used to take hits willingly, but I really don't like taking them anymore, with the exception of attacking double game weeks. I'm not going to do it. I think it's probably the correct decision to avoid the hits, especially if you don't really have a player that you really want for the upcoming game week. So we discussed this yesterday as well. So if you're like bringing in a player like Gabriel that you probably will keep all the way until game week 20, until game week 38, it's probably worth a -4, but for fixing a short-term punt with other short-term players, I'm not really sure if the -4 is worth it, to be honest. Uchiha-dan, I could also bench Minte or Shirky, would you? Minte is a big risk ahead of game week 20, picked up an injury, so he was an injury doubt ahead of game week 19 as well. Hursler, he wasn't really that positive on his comments about Minte ahead of game week 20, so benching Minte is probably okay, even though the fixture is really tempting, of course. Is it dumb doing Van Dijk to Gabriel next week, given they play each other and I own Ekitike? Oh. I think that for Ekitike owners, I kind of agree. At least for me, it would feel a bit strange transferring in Gabriel if you have Ekitike next week. I would probably wait until game week 22. The thing is that having attackers play against your defenders, it can, so they will most probably cancel each other out. Of course, when it comes to Gabriel, even though if Arsenal don't keep a clean sheet, he can potentially get attacking returns and DEFCON, but at that price, have Ekitike against Gabriel. So if you already have both of them, I would probably start both and have them play against each other. But transferring, I would probably wait until game week 22. Gabriel is going to be 10 million by then. Yeah, true. His price has gone up quite a bit. What's his price? 6.5? Let's have a quick look. 6.5, Gabriel. Just double check by refreshing this. Still 6.5, but of course the most expensive defender in the game. So he will, especially if Arsenal keep a clean sheet against Bournemouth, and of course if he picks up an attacking return in game week 20 against Bournemouth as well, his price will as mentioned in the chat, probably be 10 million. So a good thing he can only rise with 0.3 between game weeks, so he will maximum be 6.8 ahead of game week 22 and 7.1 in worst case ahead of game week 22. Gabriel is going to be 10 mil. Yeah, is already risen twice since the Villa game. If he scores again, he could reach 7 by the Forest game. I'm not even kidding. Yeah, you're probably right. He can potentially be $7.1 actually, but I don't really think this will happen. So back-to-back triple rises, it's something we don't see that often. I also have goalkeeper dilemma, Sanchez or Dubravka. So for game week 20, I actually think that Dubravka is a better option compared to Sanchez. I would definitely hold on to Sanchez. I made the graphics for the game week 21 video already, and I'm actually talking about Sanchez from game week 21. Really good fixtures for Chelsea coming up, but of course, this game week they have a really tough fixture against Man City at the Etihad, so I'm actually benching Sanchez myself this game week. Dubravka is my starting goalkeeper, so it totally makes sense to give Dubravka a chance this game week. I wish I played Dubravka last game week as well, but I went for Sanchez against Bournemouth. Of course, Bournemouth, they had to score. Of course, Semenyo had to be involved. Should I do Semenyo to Rodgers or other similar price midfielder for a -4? I have double Arsenal defense and Elliot Anderson on my bench. I really like the transfer Semenyo to Rodgers. So it is a really popular transfer as well. The thing is that Iraola, he said that Semenyo will be available for game week 20 and game week 21 for Bournemouth, but I can't really see this if the transfer gets confirmed. If we get the here we go from Fabrizio Romano on the Semenyo to Man City transfer, I think that he probably will be unavailable for Bournemouth in game week 21. So I think using a transfer on Semenyo and getting early in on Morgan Rodgers is probably a really good idea, even for a -4. Raya is just a total waste. Wish I'd sold him with my 5 free transfers. So the thing is, with those 5 free transfers, I've seen a lot of FPL managers using all of them, me included. In preseason, when we got the information about the 5 free transfers, it was like me personally as well. I think giving everyone free transfer is probably a bit too much. I think maybe probably 3 free transfers for everyone would be enough. But what we've seen is actually that those 5 free transfers have been really, really useful, and now we want even more free transfers. Raya, especially if you already have a double up on Arsenal and really want Gabriel back, having Raya is a bit annoying. I get that. So my plan going forward is potentially in game week 21, I might actually sell Bukayo Saka to bring in Cole Palmer. This will open a spot in my team for Gabriel, but I will wait for more news ahead of game week 21. Probably will wait until game week 22. I totally burnt them, I can't lie. I've spent 3 just switching between Arsenal defenders, selling Timber, then buying Calafiori, then selling Calafiori. Ooh, a bit unlucky, of course, with Calafiori, considering that he picked up an injury. But I think I talked about the Crystal Palace defense. I think at least having one Arsenal defender makes sense. They are the most selected defense, so if they keep a clean sheet, your rank will take big hits. They are the best defense as well, so it totally makes sense to have an Arsenal defender in. I was really satisfied with seeing Timber play in game week 19. He was a doubt ahead of game week 19, so seeing that he played in game week 19 makes me think that he will start game week 20 as well. So let's see if there are any news. I don't really expect early team news. We haven't really had that many leaks this season. Let's see. Luca Di Gabriel, sell Rice for Rodgers or Bruno Guimaraes or Van Dijk to Tarkovsky. If I sell Rice, I would only have Gabriel in terms of Arsenal assets, and I don't know if I should sell Rice if I know he will play against Liverpool. The thing is with Rice, we don't have that much information about Rice, but I think that he potentially can play this game week, or hopefully if he's out for game week 20, he will hopefully be back for game week 21. So I think that Rice actually is really good value, only priced at 7.2. So I think selling Rice, even though he's actually the most sold midfielder, actually the most sold player ahead of game week 20, but I haven't really considered selling Rice, to be honest. So if you have someone on the bench to cover for Rice, I think it makes sense just keeping Declan Rice at the moment. The thing with Rice is that it's not like Declan Rice is a big secret in the FPL community. His ownership is above 20%, close to 30 as well. But the thing is that he's a bit underrated still because he's on corners, free kicks for Arsenal. He can pick up defensive contributions and he can get attacking returns as well. So at 7.2, I think Declan Rice is probably a keep. Especially considering we haven't really had the confirmation that he will definitely miss game weeks going forward. So he might actually be back for game week 20. So I think that if you have a solid bench option, I think just keeping Rice makes sense. All right, mate, I'm going to head off and get some rest. Your team looks nice. I think you will do well. We'll be supporting on the fan in particular. Come on, you Spurs. So thanks for joining in, O Lightning, as always. Really good FPL discussion. So best of luck for game week 20 and have a nice weekend. "34 minutes left until the deadline. I think my team is close to locked in at the moment. I will start Dubravka ahead of Sanchez. Tough game for Chelsea playing at the Etihad, so I will give Dubravka a chance. I think that if you have any Brighton attackers like Minte or Welbeck, I would probably start Sanchez, but seeing that I don't have any Brighton attackers, I will probably just start Dubravka. I'm lacking optimism. If you didn't notice, this club ruins me. Was a particular choice of emoji at the end of the last message from O Lightning? I'm a Man United fan, so I know very well what you're talking about, to be honest. I'm lacking optimism. If you didn't notice, this club ruins me. Locking in Saka as my captain. All the best and see you next week. Saka captain, Saka is actually the least favored in the poll at the moment. Erling Haaland 64, Jared Bowen 14%, and Saka 7. Other 14%. So if you will captain another player than Erling Haaland, Bukayo Saka, or Jared Bowen, let us know in the chat. I have triple City attack and Minte, so I'm screwed either way, whether I play Sanchez or Dubravka. Triple City attack, Minte. The thing is that I would usually like say playing away against Man City. Goalkeepers usually picks up some save points, but Dubravka is this kind of goalkeeper that potentially can get save points against anyone. So I would probably still go Dubravka. Of course, it will be a bit frustrating having the most expensive goalkeeper on the bench if he outscores Dubravka. Things that goalkeepers keeping a clean sheet against Man City, usually this leads to a really good score for the goalkeeper. So you can, of course, start Sanchez, but I think for my own team, I will probably just go Dubravka. I think Minte, he is actually a bit of a risk ahead of game week 20 as well. He might actually not play. So on the other hand, Welbeck, he is for the first time this season, Danny Welbeck is actually on the bookies predicted list of anytime goal scorers. So Erling Haaland, he is usually number 1 on this list. You can see the list on the right hand side. Haaland 58%, Faultmother 42, Danny Welbeck 42 as well for the fixture against Burnley. Sanchez saving a Haaland pen would do wonders for my rank though. Yeah, that would probably do wonders to my rank as well, especially if I go Jared Bowen captain. I still have the captaincy on Jared Bowen. I think I will just take the punt. I have been really unlucky with the captaincy recently, but hopefully Jared Bowen can outscore Haaland this game week. Triple City attack. So you have Erling Haaland, probably Phil Foden, and was it Shirky? So Gabriel, the most transferred in player, Rodgers is actually second, and we have Bruno Guimaraes. I think that Rodgers, Bruno, there are a lot of transfers with a lot of FPL managers selling Rice and Phil Foden. They are 2 of the most sold players. Rice is actually the most sold player ahead of game week 20, and you can see the pattern that Rodgers is a really popular replacement for Rice, and the same goes for Bruno Guimaraes. I think the Newcastle game, the fixture for Newcastle in game week 20 is probably a bit underrated. I think Crystal Palace, they have looked tired recently, so if you have any Newcastle players, I think I would start them. Faultmother, he is actually one of the bookies' favorites for anytime goal scorer, together with Erling Haaland and Danny Welbeck this game week. So I have made a transfer this game week. I sold Raul Jimenez, and Jared Bowen is in. Currently, I'm captaining Jared Bowen for the good fixture away against Wolves. So hopefully Erling Haaland can stay quiet one more game week. So Van Hecke against Burnley, solid fixture. Van de Ven against Sunderland at home. Hopefully Spurs can do well against Sunderland. I think Sunderland, they are probably a bit underrated as well, but hopefully Spurs can keep a clean sheet. I will start Timber. Luckily, he started in game week 19. It was a big doubt ahead of game week 19, but he started, and I think he will start game week 20 as well. Phil Foden against Chelsea, and I have the injured Rice, Saka, and Anthony Gordon up front, Thiago, Haaland, and my new signing, Jared Bowen, as my captain. So Rice, most sold player ahead of game week 20. I will probably just keep Rice, start him, and hope that he plays. I think that Rice, he will either start or he will get a full rest. So I will get Dorgu from the bench against Leeds. He will most probably play out of position in game week 20. We know that Amad Diallo and Mbumo are still competing at the AFCON, so he will probably start for Man United. I have Elliot Anderson on the bench as well, Vandenberg, so a solid bench. I could actually consider playing my bench boost this game week, but I will wait for a better opportunity. I have a couple of players on the bench with tough fixtures like Sanchez at the Etihad and Nottingham Forest. They have a tough game away against Aston Villa as well. So if you're playing your wildcard or free hit this game week, I have actually made a video about the best wildcard and free team ahead of game week 20. So if you're interested, go check that one out. It will be really appreciated to support the channel with some watch time. Benching Thiago. I'm benching Thiago because I think he might be benched. The thing is that Thiago, he has actually been benched a couple of times when there have been game weeks like this with a quick turnaround. So I was really close to selling Thiago to bring in Jared Bowen, but my decision was to actually sell Raul Jimenez instead. I have a feeling that Raul Jimenez might see limited minutes in game week 20 as well. So I think if I had more free transfers, I would probably sell Thiago. The thing is that there are a couple of really good options this game week. I mentioned the bookies predictions, and both Foltmade and Danny Welbeck, they are actually the bookies favorites ahead of game week 20. The only worry is that I think both of them are minutes risks. Visa will take minutes from Foltmade, and Danny Welbeck, he is actually predicted to start game week 20 on the bench, so it might actually be a solid option to go for two up front and bringing in someone like Gui. There are a lot of teams with the Chelsea forward in their teams as a bench fodder to upgrade in midfield, and I think I probably might do something similar myself, to be honest. So I've said this a couple of times. It's a bit unusual that we have so little information ahead of a game week. Quick turnaround between game week 19 and game week 20, and we will have a quick turnaround between game week 20 and game week 21 as well, as the next deadline is actually on Tuesday. Only 23 minutes left until the deadline. So the clock is ticking pretty fast at the moment, 23 minutes. Last time I checked the clock, it was actually 50 something, so time is actually starting to run out. So the most sold player, Rice. My advice would actually be to just hold on to Rice. Gabriel in. I think Gabriel in is a really good move. He's back from injury. Hopefully he will stay fit for the rest of the season, and he's like one of those players that can play. Is fixture proof. So if Arsenal, if they have a really tough game, I would probably just start Gabriel either way. So he can pick up defensive contributions and attacking returns, even though Arsenal concedes. So he's not really relying on the clean sheets like a couple of other defenders. So I think even for a -4, I think Gabriel in, if you have this opportunity, I think it's a good transfer ahead of game week 20. So let's check if there are any early team news. 20 minutes left until the deadline. Let's head over to X. If you want your team reviewed, head over to X as well. Post a picture of your team selection and we'll get it up on the screen. Still time for a couple of reviews if anyone's interested. So head over to not many updates on X about early team news. Only 18 minutes. Yusuf, thanks for joining in. 18 minutes left. My team is pretty locked in at the moment. I will start Dubravka instead of Sanchez. Of course, we have discussed in the chat, would be really annoying if Sanchez does well and have Dubravka only pressed at 4 million in my starting 11 with Sanchez points on the bench, but I think I can live with that. Burnley, they actually kept the clean sheet in game week 18 as well, so hopefully they can replicate this in game week 20. So Sanchez on the bench. I have Dorgu as well. Might play out of position for Man United, possibly as the right wing against Leeds. Can be some returns for Dorgu, and this is why I have Dorgu first on my bench. So Elliot Anderson second, and Vandenberg against Everton last on my bench. So a solid bench. I might actually need my bench this game week. Rice is a doubt ahead of game week 20, so I'm just starting Rice in my starting 11. I think that he either will start or get a full rest, so I have Declan Rice in my starting 11. So Van Hecke, Van de Ven, Timber, Phil Foden, Rice, Saka, Gordon, up front Thiago, Haaland, and Jared Bowen. There are some rumors about Thiago being rested as well. We have seen this before when we have midweek game weeks, stuff like that. Of course, this is not a midweek game week, but really quick turnaround between the game weeks. The next game week is actually on Tuesday, or the next deadline is this Tuesday. So only 3 days until the next deadline. So if I had more free transfers, I would probably sell Thiago as well. But my transfer this game week was to get rid of Raul Jimenez. He has actually done pretty well for my team recently, scoring a couple of goals. But considering that Raul is actually injury prone himself, the fixtures gets tougher for Fulham. I think it makes sense to get rid of Raul Jimenez at this point. I think the same goes for Wilson, so if you still have Harry Wilson, he is one to consider selling. Irish Peter, thanks for joining in. 15 minutes left until the deadline. Mate, would you start Harry Wilson or Semenyo? Probably, considering the fixture, it will be a really tough game for Semenyo. There are some rumors that he won't start as well. I think Iraola it's definitely one to consider selling, considering the price and the ownership. I think having a plan for getting rid of Semenyo is probably a good idea. Minte or Grealish? I'm thinking Minte. I can see the temptation. Really good fixture for Brighton this game week. I think I would actually start Jack Grealish. Some positive comments about Jack Grealish availability ahead of game week 20. Playing at home against Brentford. I think this is a solid option. Start Declan Rice, Gudmundsson, or Elliot Anderson. I think I would just start Rice. At least that's what I'm doing with my own team. Start Declan Rice and have Elliot Anderson first on the bench. Gudmundsson, I know he did well in game week 19, but will they keep a clean sheet against Man United? I can't see goals in this game, so I would have Declan Rice in my starting 11 with Elliot Anderson first on the bench. Minte or Grealish? I think it's, of course, really close. I can see the temptation of playing Minte. It's the best fixture at home against Burnley, but I'm expecting actually Minte to see limited minutes in game week 20, so I think Grealish for this game week actually is slightly better option compared to Minte. I transferred in Gordon for Semenyo instead of Rodgers. Did I make a mistake? Because I see everyone transferring in Rodgers. I don't really think that this is a mistake, to be honest. Anthony Gordon, he is still a really solid option. Newcastle, they have some good upcoming fixtures, and I think that the Crystal Palace game for Newcastle in game week 20, I think this actually is a really good fixture. Crystal Palace, they have looked tired recently. They are the team that have played most games during December, so I really hope that Anthony Gordon will do well, and I don't really consider this as a mistake, to be honest. But I think Rodgers is a good option. So Rice, Phil Foden, two of the most sold players ahead of game week 20. Gabriel and Rodgers, or at least Rodgers and Bruno Guimaraes, they are two of the most transferred in players. So I definitely think that Anthony Gordon is a good transfer in as well. Thanks for your inputs. In my opinion, if Semenyo goes to City, Cherky will be fine, as he gives many chances to Haaland. Foden is the one that's likely going to be rotated. Yeah, I think both of them probably are safe, even though if Semenyo is ready for game week 22, I don't really see him getting straight into the team. Pep Guardiola, he usually likes to have his players a couple of weeks on the training ground before starting them, so I definitely think that Semenyo, if we get the confirmation that he will join Man City, I definitely think that he is a sell. De Kuiper, a good pick. Well, he has been playing out of position recently. He's one of the defenders with the best expected goal involvement. I think the safest option if you want to cover the Brighton defense is probably to go for Bruggen in goal or Van Hecke, the center back. But De Kuiper still a solid option. I haven't really checked his price. It's probably a bit cheaper, right? Let's see. 4.3, yeah. Considering the fixture in game week 20, De Kuiper, he can potentially have a really good game week at home against Burnley. Is it fine to keep Hincapie for this game week and then move to Gabriel? Yeah, I think so. So Hincapie is predicted to start. There are some doubts about Calafiori still, so I think that Hincapie is definitely one to consider selling, but I'm not sure if it has to be done ahead of game week 20. So I would just keep him this game week and do the transfer next game week. Blanky, hey mates, thanks for joining in. 9 minutes left until the deadline. My team is close to being locked in. Start Dubravka or Sanchez from Blanky. I'm actually in the same situation and I have decided to go for Dubravka in game week 20. So Dubravka playing away against Brighton. Sanchez playing away against Man City at the Etihad. I think that the picture, of course, is better for Burnley. Chelsea can potentially do well against Man City, but considering the fact that they have what happened over at Chelsea with Enzo Maresca, I think starting Dubravka in game week 20 makes sense. I have actually made the graphics for the game week 21 video, and Chelsea have some really good fixtures coming up from game week 21 and onwards, so it will be really interesting to see how Chelsea does going forward. Which four to start? Gabriel, O'Reilly, Tarkovsky, Dorgu, Elliot Anderson. I think definitely Gabriel should start, and possibly Tarkovsky. So Gabriel, Tarkovsky, especially if you don't have Igor Thiago, I would probably go Gabriel and Tarkovsky. I think Dorgu is a solid option, but he's fine to have on the bench. At least that's what I'm doing in game week 20. So I actually have Dorgu myself. So blank is some of the same questions as my own team. Sanchez or Dubravka, play Dorgu. I think my team is close to locked in. And as you can see, I have Dorgu on the bench. I have Elliot Anderson on the bench as well. So I think I would start Gabriel and Tarkovsky. If you have Igor Thiago in your team, I would probably start Gabriel and O'Reilly. So in the captain poll, Erling Haaland, big favorite, 73%, Jared Bowen 9, Bukayo Saka 5. The thing is that I'm really tempted by Jared Bowen because of the fixture against Wolves, but considering that Chelsea, there are some uncertainties around Chelsea this game week, considering the fact that they actually sacked their manager Enzo Maresca. I'm a bit tempted to go for Erling Haaland myself. Do I start Wilson? So probably he will still start for Fulham. It's not like Liverpool have been that great, so at home against Liverpool on Sunday, this might actually be a solid fixture for Fulham. So, Mr. Tendai, morning mate, would you start Thiav or Elliot Anderson? Calvert-Lewin captain? I would probably start. I would probably start Thiav at home against a tired Crystal Palace. Dominic Calvert-Lewin captain. Oh, this gives me confidence to just stay on my Jared Bowen punt for game week 20. Erling Haaland, the favorite in the poll, 73%, 9 for Jared Bowen, 5 for Bukayo Saka, 14 for others. And we have Dominic Calvert-Lewin captainer in the chat. This is actually one of the reasons why I'm benching Dorgu this game week, even though he will most probably play out of position. Classified as a defender, will probably play right wing against Leeds, but I can't really see Man United keeping a clean sheet in this game. So Dorgu is on my bench. I have actually considered to have Elliot Anderson first on my bench, but I think I will just keep the bench as it is. So my captain, Jared Bowen, vice captain Erling Haaland. Dubravka, Ingle, Sanchez on the bench. I think it makes sense for my team, seeing that I don't have any Brighton attackers, but I have a double up on Man City. So I don't really want my double Man City to play against Sanchez. So hopefully this is the right decision. 3 minutes left until the deadline. So my transfer this game week was to sell Raul Jimenez and bring in Jared Bowen. Really like the fixtures for West Ham coming up. Quick turnaround between game weeks. Jared Bowen, he is one of those players that plays a lot of minutes. So I will be really disappointed if Jared Bowen actually is rested or benched in game week 20. That would be a huge disappointment. Which two would you bench from Keane, Alderete, Dorgu, Timber, and the Kuiper? Ooh. This is kind of a tricky one because of the fixture for the Kuiper. Usually I would say the Kuiper, but at home against Burnley, I would probably start the Kuiper this game week. Timber, definitely. So I think I would have Timber and the Kuiper in my my starting 11. So it's between Michael Keane, Alderete, and Dorgu. I think I would probably start the last three, to be honest. Especially if you don't have Calvert-Lewin, I would start Dorgu, Timber, and the Kuiper. Keane is a doubt ahead of game week 20, so you might have Keane in your starting 11, but I don't really think that he will play. Alderete as well did well against Man City, kept a clean sheet, but I don't really think that. Of course, they are probably a bit underrated, the Sunderland team, but I think Spurs will score against them in game week 20, to be honest. The thing is that Dorgu, he is actually a solid option considering that he most probably will play out of position with both Mbumo and Ahmad gone. I think that Dorgu will start for Man United. Don't really think that Man United will keep a clean sheet against Leeds, but he can actually get some attacking returns and he is a big differential. So having Dorgu and the Kuiper, they're kind of similar at the moment, playing out of position, both of them. So considering the fixture for the Kuiper, I think those three should start. 1 minute left until the deadline. Just need to refresh this to see my team is actually locked in. So with only 20 seconds left, hopefully you confirmed all of your moves ahead of game week 20. Not much time left. We're down to 10 seconds until the game week 20 deadline. So thanks all for joining in. Best of luck for game week 20 and have a lovely weekend. So if you haven't done so already, consider subscribing to the channel. I always have a Q&A the night before the deadline. So I actually had one last night, but when I find the time, I do deadline streams like this as well. So thanks all for joining in. Best of luck for game week 20 and hopefully I'll see you next time.